Hello everybody. I've always wanted to tell this funny story, well, with a serious background though. The story of when I came to England in autumn 2007 and I brought my 4 rabbits, Flopsy, Mopsy, Peter and Cottontail, to Bulldog country. So I actually physically entered the country that time, bringing the rabbits at Newhaven port via the ferry line in France, Dieppe, Newhaven. Of course, you might think, is this even legal bringing 4 rabbits? But yes, I've checked. You could bring, without any fuss, up to 5 rabbits. So there was no problem checking in the Dieppe customs with my brother's car, but the trouble began when we came through Newhaven customs. For they pulled us out and began searching us. Oh yeah. Later, I realized they basically pull out each time a ferry arrives, one German or maybe Dutch car and searching for drugs. So this was no exception, but back then I was not amused at all when they wanted us to unload everything, all the stuff I have brought along, even my comfy mattress, which I didn't have the heart to throw away, and of course the cage. It was a large cage with my 4 rabbits in. So they searched and searched, the whole thing dragged on for an hour, and I was becoming more and more nervous and irritated, for I had no reservation made for a hotel, was relying on my luck, but became a little pressed in time, and they said, yeah, why don't you have a place to stay? It's very tough to find anything. It's just not plausible what you are telling us. And I constantly replied, yeah, I know it's not easy finding anything. I tried in advance, but didn't succeed. So please let us go so we can go look for something. Now, while the others were searching, there was one officer pulling me aside and interrogating me, asking what I would come to England for, and I was getting more and more upset. Isn't that obvious that I wanted to, basically immigrate, bringing all my belongings, my rabbits included? Would I have been a drug carrier, then would I have brought all this and my 4 rabbits? And I told him I want to become a cab driver in Brighton. I am a cab driving writer. I've done this in Germany already, and I want to do this all over Europe. So England is just the first country, I told him. It's just we have not seen anything like this. Someone coming to our country bringing 4 rabbits, he told me. And yeah, they called someone, but yes, it was legal. But there was a point when I feared that they would really cut them open, expecting all that dope I had stuffed in them would come pouring out of the gutters. So they wanted to check my story. I would come to England to become a cab driver. I wanted to get a license in Brighton, a town I've never lived in. I was telling them that I had been there just for a visit one day when I was living in London in 1984 for 2 months, and later on a vacation for 3 weeks. And half a year earlier, I was there for just a final check, and they even called that lady I had stayed with, where I had rented a room, to confirm my story, but she wasn't in. So a month, roughly, was all the time I had ever lived in Brighton before, but I had learned a lot of roads already in advance. Oh yeah. He was telling me that to get the license in Brighton is very tough. Do you have any idea of how tough? He asked me. He had a relative who did the license who told him this, and then he began to ask me roads. Can you imagine me, Johan Lemke, in 2023, the world record expert for Brighton roads? And I have to admit, I was so damn tired from driving half of the way from Freiburg to Dieppe and having slept only a little in a hotel, and was still tired from moving out from a flat in Germany to begin, tired and exhausted. I was very bad at answering his questions, which were a little knowledge test for itself. What is the next road that gets off this road? What other road is right after that road? Everything was blurry for me. I was too tired to think. I couldn't come up with one bloody road. It's just that we haven't seen anything like this before, he told me. Someone coming to England with his 4 rabbits, well, this is just not plausible. He kept saying that several times. So this is just so plausible, then became a running gag between my brother and me in all the years to follow. They even asked him what he would think of all this, and he was very older brotherly. Well, this is just one of his crazy ideas, and he is an adult now. He's not listening to me anymore. Well, I was never listening to him openly, though in secret was following in his footsteps all the time. Now, of course, they did find a thing before we didn't bring any drugs. So after an hour, they let us go. And after a minor incident with my brother almost killing us for wanting to drive on the wrong side of the road, that I could just in time prevent from happening by yelling, "No, other side." And after searching for hotels in vain and asking in vain for a room in one hotel, we were extremely lucky to find one that would take me, even gave me a special price for a long-term stay, which was only 10 days in the end, though, and my rabbits were no problemo, though I couldn't put them in the garden as I had hoped for the second night a fox came, and I heard them bonking and tapping like wild, so I had to take them inside, but that was a problem. And I was very glad for my brother. My brother was pressed in time, so I wasn't even mad when we got a ticket for parking on the pavement while we were unloading all that stuff. So now I was an inhabitant of England, though at first, after this episode in Newhaven, had almost told my brother to turn his car around and go back. But I refused the impulse. And then, just my first day as a lodger in Worthing, close to Brighton, I lived with a lady as a lodger that had a very colourful life before and a son that was a junkie. There we go. And I had tremendous trouble with this guy, for he really was a little shit who still thought he was in control of his addiction. It's just that he likes to party. I might have gotten along with his mother because she had a nice and caring side, along with a really rotten one. But this guy wrecked it all. He stayed in the house soon after I moved in, which was unexpected because of the trouble with his ex-wife, who had filed a restraining order against him, and he swore to stay clean. Completely messed up our Christmas 2007 because he was in Turkey, and then just a short while later he was happy again because he just had a little visit from his dealer friend who brought him a trifle. His mother actually told me he might not make old bones. So and only a short while later, after that Newhaven episode, I read in the papers about a German woman actually who got searched in Newhaven customs coming from the ferry boat just like me, and they found heroin worth £500,000. And when I got my license finally, after 9 months tough procedure and tons of learning, I could see at first hand that this really is crack country. A customer told me so, and I could see all the shoes hanging from the cables that run between the houses to signal other dealers to stay out of their territory. So this is to Newhaven Customs. No hard feeling, lads, and I am positive those who had been searching me will never forget me and my four rabbits, and maybe they have passed the story on already. By the way, going back from England was easy. That time I drove myself in an English car that I bought cheaply with an English license plate, and no one bothered me, neither Newhaven Custom nor the French one in Dieppe. And voila, here's what came out of all of that. So I dedicate this video to Newhaven Customs, even will send them a link via email, and keep up the good work, lads. And next time you ask me Brighton roads, I will be able to answer you in all detail, for the Brighton and Hove town map is right in my head. In the following, you can see a very nice display of my world record road knowledge of Brighton and Hove roads. Thank you for watching, and please share. Pakistan Jubilee was a current image of Freeman's Road, Hill, Benfield and Buckland, Gone, the Student Bonds and Ambrose, Cheddar, Crescent Avenue, Gilson, Eastbrook, Brambley, St. Nicholas and Mother, St. Peters, Trafalgar Church, Victoria and Bay Road, Church Street, Bay Gardens, Beacon Street Road, Southern Avenue, Links Road and Close, the Gardens Close, Denmark, Simister and Gordon Road and Close, Franklin and St. Andrews Road and Norway, Albany and North Street, and Middle Street, Chapel Place, West Owen George, Camden and East Street, and Clarendon Place, and Seaford Station, Brown Road and Cotton Terrace, St. Leonard's Road and Avenue, Abbey Road, St. Leonard's Gardens, and Kennedy Mills and Derrick Avenue, Kenton and Glastonbury, Brittany, Roman and Saxon Road, Marine Avenue, Tennis, Norman Tennis, Glendale, both based around north and south, Wishwood, Welbeck and Berrydale Avenue, Brimmer Road, Langham Gardens Road, and Collar, Wissingham Road, Second Garden, Westmore, Villison Place, and Princess Crescent Square Avenue, Amber Road, Wellington Road, Kingsway, Hove Street, and South and Sackville, Newchurch, Portland, Old Trump Road, Worcester, Leicester, Wells, Chester, Midleven, Portland, Village, Orton, Close, Morning, Crescent, Rotherham, Chester Road, and Close, St. Mansfield, Woodhouse Road, and Portland, Coleman, Parkinson, Hallis Avenue, and Amesbury Crescent, Haworth, and Sister, from Medina, Lewiston, Richardson Road, and St. Phillips and Lyons Mews, Rotherham, Westbourne Gardens and Street, and Pembroke Crescent Avenue Gardens, and Pembroke Crescent Avenue Gardens, and Olive Road, Ingham Crescent, Weston, East, and Road, Grange School, Kenterdale, Milton, Marnus Court, Maidstone, Stoneham, up on the Kendall Ruskin on Penn Avenue, Tamworth, Shelley, Rutton, and Mortimer Road, and Arthur, Molesworth, and Suffolk College, Byron, Montgomery, Wordsworth, and Cowboy Street, and St. Patrick's Road, and Windsor Views, and Sheridan Terrace, and Shakespeare Street. This directly margin Halliburton Road, Florence Avenue, Isabrook, and Amherst Crescent, Milton, London, Woodenden Avenue, and St. Joseph's Close, and Leighton, Frithburg, and St. Princess Road, and Valence Gardens and Road, and Ambergreaves and St. Albans and South, and Seaford Road, and Osborne, Medina, Albany, Villas, Hilford, Medina Places, Sussex Road, Medina Terrace, and King's Esplanade, 4th, 1, 2nd, and 1st Avenue, and Albany, King's Mews, and Kings and Queen Gardens, and the Drive, and Booker Place Street, and Starling Place, and Connor Tabberson Road and Mars Walk, and Belfast, Melbourne, and Hennington Street, and Close, and Joseph and Havervillas, and Tisbury North Road, and Close, and Ethel Allen Street, and Conway Street of Place, and Funter Road, and Clarendon and Livingston, and Goldson Road, and Shirley and Goldson Street, and Clarendon and Eton, Goldson and Cambridge Villas, and Station Approach, Denmark Mews, and Eton Gardens, and Cromwell, and Davidor, Blatchington, Eton, and Lansdowne Road, and Eton, Cambridge Grove, Oxford, Cambridge Mews, and Newtown Road, Goldson, and Manor, Contington, Hofbach Villas, and Champions Road, Burberry Gardens, and Avenue, and Crescent, and Villas, and Big Mid Avenue, Burton Villas, and the Aperture of a Case is Close, and Victoria Road, and Queens, and St. John's, Victoria Grove, and Queens, and St. John's Place, and Road, and Adelaide Crescent, and Palmer Square, and Hunter Road, and Mews, and Alice Street and Close, and Lansdowne Place, and Street and Square, and Brunswick Mews, and Street, and West and East, and Terrace, and Square and Place, and Donkey Mews, Upper Market Street, Waterloo, Western Street, Little Western Street, Ivy Chapel Mews, and Golden Lane, and Norfolk Street, and Buildings, and Square, and Cross Street, and Sibbert Mews, and Norfolk Square, and Place, Verbury Road, and Grove, and 7 and Susbury Road, and Palmer Avenue, Crown Cross, and Rochester Gardens, and from Rochester, Springcross, Homelands, and Mews, Cambridge, Brunswick, York, and Norfolk Road, and Borough, Temple Street, London Road, Salmon, and Susbury Place, Summer Road, and Avenue, Lions Close, and Chatsworth Square, and Lizards Avenue, Fossil and Dean, and Norfolk Terrace, and York Avenue, Norfolk Terrace, and Temple Gardens, and Windlesham Avenue, Gardens and Road, and Silverdale Avenue and Road, and Fondale Avenue, Sisbury, Shankton Road, Woodstone, Cayman, Linton, and Hyder, Montefiore, Addison, Comberg, and Melbourne, Austin, and Julian Road, and Montpelier Road, and Denmark, and Vernon Terrace, Chatham Place, New England Road, and Orient, and Cavendish, Civil Place, Substitute Road, Terrace, Western Terrace, Little Prest, and Western Terrace, and Little Preston, Sussex, Costa Street, Regents Mews, and Square, and Queensborough Mews, and Clarence, and Russell Square, and St. Margaret's, and Cannon Place, and Russell Road Place, and Regency Road, and Cromwell Street, and Chester Square, and the Upper North Street, and Hampton Place Street, and Spring Ring, Crown, Marlborough Street, and Mews, and Regent Hill and Row, and Montpelier Place, and Tabberson Villas and Street, and Victoria Road, Swin Place, and Clifton, Tabberson Place, and Hill and Road, and St. Mike's Place, Paris Road and Square, and Grove and Villas, and Montpelier Crescent and Dyke Road, and Belmont and Russell Crescent, and Prestonville, York Villas and Grove and Howard Jefferson Place and Broad Street, Compton Avenue, Buckingham Place and Road, and Worcester Street and Place and Road, and Orbit Effort, Leopard Road, Alexander Villas, and Terminus Road and Place, and Redwood Terminus, and Clifton, Buckingham, Guildford, and Surrey Street, and Guildford and Abergloucester Road, and St Nicholas Road, St Turin Road, and Dorset Street, and North Gardens, and Coast Street, and Junction Road, Queens, and North Street, Quadrant, and Queens Road, and West Street, and Queen Square, and Ash Street, and Zargans, and Mount St. Pleasant Church Street, Argyle, and Keppel Road, and New England Cross and Boston Street, and York Hill and N Street, and Mayflower Square, and Belmont and St. Peter Street, and Cheapside and Fleet Street, and Sinclair Friendship Road, Kingswood Way, and Stradlin and Bilton Way, and Trafalgar Arches and Place, and Station Black and White, and Redcliffe Street, and Pound Street, and Trafalgar Close, and Trafalgar, Gloucester, and North Road, and Church and North Street, Trafalgar, Tabbers, and Frederick Gardens, and Frederick Place, Overstreet, Campsted, Trafalgar, and Kensington Place, Titus, St. Still, and Pound Square, St. George's and Music, Gloucester Street, and Frederick Street, Flounder Street, Queen's Gardens, Amber Gardens Street, Kensington Gardens and Street, and Robert and White Street, Cheltenham, Blenheim, Marlborough Place, the Spring Gardens, Bristol, Titchmarsh Street, Irish Road, Garden Street, Richard Street, Richard Tivoli Street, and North Barrack Yards, and Winterport, the St. King, Pleasant Street, and Dursey, Bond Street, Newhaven, Princess Palace Place, Pavilions and Buildings in Castle Square, and Duke Boyce South and Middle, and Ship and Prince Albert and Black Lion Street, and Bartholomew Mews, and Little East, and East Street, and Brills Lane, and Pooh Valley, and Old Steen and Grand Junction Road, Pavilion and Grand Parade, and Marlborough, Gloucester, St George's St York Place, and London Viaduct, Ditchling, and Lewis and Upper Lewis Road, and Rose Hill, Terrace and Close, and London Terrace and Kingsbury Road and Street, and Baker and Francis Street, Montreal, the Open Market, Oxford Street and Close, and Brunswick Road, and Oxford, Queen's Street Place, Dishing Rise, Shaftesbury Place, Beverly Shaftesbury, Clyde Stanley, Lorna Road, and Jersey Road, Winchester Street, and Orchard Walk, Union Road, Rose Hill, Park Crescent, and Road, and Terrace and Place, and Trinity View, Newport, and St Martin Street, and Inwards Avenue, Edinburgh, Calder, and St Mary Magdalene's Paul Street, and Bromley Road, Canterbury, Joe Front, Princess Crescent, and Road Crescent Road, Road Crowson Road Street, and Crescent, Wakefield, Ashdown, Wakefield, Richmond, Ashdown, Mayo Road, 10th Down Road, and Elm Grove, and Huntington Mason House, Capsule Road, Senator Totterburn, Breeding Birmingham Road, and Bonnet Place, and Welldown, Franklin, the Montfort Road, and Actors, and Mendon, Walton, Several Coronation, Picton, and Franklin Street, and Hastings, Privacy, Sands Road, and Farrell, and Small's Place, and New Margaret Road, and Towers, and Leicester Place, and Melbourne Street, and Shankly Road, and Bembridge, and Weffingham Street, and Huntington Place, and Terrace, and Steen, Manchester, Charles, Broad Street, and Madeira Place, Kempford, Wentworth Street, and Usain Mews, and Rock Place, Upper Rock Gardens, Lower Rock Gardens, Atchworth, Gutford, Winter, Charles, Supermarine Gardens, and Bedford, and Amber, Bedford, St James's, and Upper St James's Street, Marine Terrace, Mews, and Royal Crescent, and Mews, and Ballington Street, Crescent, and Bluesbury Place, and Marine Square, and Portland, Mews, and Place, the Seymour Student Square, and Preston Place, and Eastern Terrace Place, and Bagel Street, and Belgrove and Eden Place, the Apostle Callan, Chichester Terrace, Cheston Road, Sweden Place, and Chichester Place, and Mary's Square, St Mark's Street, Sussex Mews, Compton Place, and Rockgrove Street, and Lewis Crescent, Sussex Square, and Aaron Terrace and Place, and Eastern Place, and Amden Road, and Street, and Lucas, and Mandarin Road, and Edward Street, and Eastern Road, and Marine Parade, and Madeira 12, and Duke's Mount, and William John Street, Grand Parade, Mews, and Kingswood Street, and Carlton Hill, and Moline, Sussex Street, and Second Street, and Nelson Road, Ivory, and Sussex Place, and Albion's, Richard Parade, and Albion Street, and Ash Rise, and Grove Hill, and Migo, White Blaker Grove in the Street, and Thames Coast, and Mount Pleasant, Mount Place, Leicester, Tilson Park Street, and South End Mews, Freshfield, and Sutherland Road, and Freshfield Way, and Stephenson Road, and Upper Road, and Tavis and Beverly Gardens, and Upper Abbey, Water Killed, on the Torn and Bursted Road, and Matehurst, Sinford, Tartan, and Chetbank Close, and Brisket, and Brown Way, and Street, Calford Road, and Tilbury, and St Don's Place, and then Street, and Marine View, Park Road, Tavis, and Upper Park Place, Queensrock Road, and Park Hill, and Freshfield, Place in South Avenue, West North, East Drive, and Towergate, G-Drive, Barford Gardens, and Berry Road, Queens of Rose and Towers, Luke's Road and Towers, and Freshfield Street, and Downtown, and Lancaster Avenue, Fog Line, Plumpton, Halland, Clayton Road, and the Causeway Monument View, and Queensway and Craven Road, until it gets south of the Headland Parliament Close, and Roger Buchanan, and Canning, Rochester, Butenda, Livingston, Canning Street, and College Terrace, and Evelyn Dawson Terrace, and Catherine Road will all be closed, and Elmer and Towner Road, and Richmond, and Stanley Street, and Winton Street, and Terrace, and Tilbury Way, and Albion Hill, South Hour Place, and South Hour Street, and Mews, and Islingwood Road, and Motor St. Temple Terrace, Phoenix Place, and Rise in Newhaven, and Bag of Place, and Bag of Street, Newark Place, Chelsea Grove, Fallen, Scotland, Quebec Street, Montreal Road, and Toronto Terrace, and Hanover Crescent, and Music Street, and Terrace, Common, Washington, Jackson, and Jackson, Lincoln, and Grand, York, Islingwood, Southampton Street, and Fitzbury Road, and Milton Tower, happening. Compton Road and Luther Street, and Beaufort Towers, Whitchurch, Estima Place, and Cromwell Linton on the Carlin Street and Bentham Road, and Clifford Porch, Clifford and the Cliff, and Rodney Crescent, and Parth and Vale, and Heights, and Tabberson Place, and the Marina Way, the Waterfront, the Strand, West and East, and Cocos, West East Jetty, and West Quay, and drove Warren down at Cherry Hill and Houghton Road, and Warren down and Hilton Close, and Seaview Road, Rosebery Avenue, Baby Guns, and Midway Road, and Downsway, and Warren Avenue, Farm Hill, and Vernon Avenue, McWilliam, Ivan, Helen Road, Downsway, and Parish Lane, Henry Marlowe, Reading Appeal Road, and Wilson Avenue, Whitehook Road and Way, and Aberdeen Manor Green Gardens and Paddock, and Regent's Close, Princess Terrace, Bristol Street, Bandon Road, and Bournemouth, and Rugby Place, and Manor Hill, and Crescent and Close, and Way, and Place, and Hereford Plate, and Etsy Frimwell, Hamsey, Chili, Reedball, and Reckley, Iron Barlow Close, and Winter Crescent and Close, and Upper and Lower Charlington Place, and Howling Close, and School Rise, and Fender Road, and Medway, and Water's Rise, and Allenway, Texas Rise, and Daniel Road, and Nazis Place, and Close, and Pennis Place, and Campbell Close, and Meston Place, Fletching Close, Piltdown, and Whiston Road, and South and North and Way, and Crossroads, Cook Street, and Cool and Drive, and Exceed by Down across from Horsens, and Catherine's Close, and Netford Holiday Place, Hayman Road and Close, and Limney Road, and Swanborough Place, and Drive, and Vance of Cecil Way, and Aldrich Close, and Alban and Lotsworth, Twynham and Stevensborough, Something, Cogan, Outfield Place, and Pratt, and Efforts and Close, Descent, and Saddle Way, and Warren Way, Bolton Road, Santos Avenue, Langer Crescent, Stratford Close, and Seabury Way, the Rig Way, Crescent Drive, North and South, and Downs Valley Road, and the Milliard Crescent, and Brycoff Road, and Briar Close, and Pit Gardens, and the Brown Farmer Gardens, and Rigway View, Bush Crescent, Treetops, and Newell's Close, and Spears Walk, and Rudder Road, and Close, and Catherine Vale, Kipling Avenue, Local Crescent, Villas, and Local Close, and Nolan Bateman's Roads, and Cavern Garden, Hotel, Deborah, Contra, Rigway Gardens, Chunkin Rise, Dean Sycamore, Willow Close, Lutton, Shamington Road, Netherfree Green, and Hayward Close, and Haverstone Road, Baxter Road, and College Drive, and Tully Lodge, Huntston for Littleworth, and Bannerman, Close, and Down View, and Foxtown Road, and Shipley Road, Green Lane, Stessa Crescent, and Ravenstone Drive, and Donington Road, and Brownleaf, Aberdeen South Road, Rusty Pifford, and Merston Close, and Foxway, Chooky Road, and Mylog Road, and Gardens, and Rowan Close, and Process of Etcheway, South top because of the Lodge, the Rise, and Monarch's View, and Hillcroft, and Southern Close, and Delphin, and Westway Gardens, and Close, and Avery, and Nursery Close, and Oakton Crescent, and Rise, and Way Avenue Gardens, and Close, Graham, and Stanley Avenue, Christery, Seftus, Reaches, and Fox Sanders Road, and Beach and College Close, and Heathfield Drive, and Crescent, and Graham Crescent, and Close, and New England, Thornhill, and Overdown Rise, and Goes, and Rich Close, and Julian Wilfrid Drive, and Wilfrid Close, and Thorn Way, and Bushram Drive, and Thornbush Crescent, Juniper Ship, and Hazel Tick, Sycamore, Bush Cottage, and Jarvis, and Warrior Close, and Father Ron Crestway, and Villas, and Emerald Ford, and Forge, and Flint, and New Barn Close, and Hangleton Lane, Dingons, and Close, and Fabway, Chap, Sharpton Crescent, and Mill Lane, Deacon's Drive, Mill, Valerie, and Hannon, and Close, and Microsoft, Wellington Gardens, and Ford, and Drive, Hereford Gardens, and Highland Sort of, and Park, Horizon, Romany Hayes, and Bedford Close, and Bedford Way, and Crescent, and Hillside, and Lox Hill, and Crescent, and South Street, and Manor Road, and Easter Way, and Drive, and San Marys, and Village Close, and Highways, and High Street, and Close, and Drove Road, Windlesham Close and Applesham Way and Mavis Avenue, Maplehurst Road and New Timber Drive, and North Road and Close and the Crossway and North Lane, Croft Drive, Hawthorne Way and Farm Close and Downsview and South Down Road and Valley Road and Drove Crescent, Stoner Road and Wickhurst Road and Rise and Stoner and Wickhurst and Hillbank Close and Henge and Clubber Way, Batcher, Breckenborough, Belford Close and Language and Shepherd Way and the Park and Confer Close and Hamilton and Hamilton Close and Hinghamton Links Road and Way and Valley Drive and Gardens and Close. And Devview Gardens and Devview and Close and the Greenleys and Fairway Close and Westway, Kingston Close, Summerley Road, Legion Avenue, Northeast Drive and Close, and Shepperton Road and Way and Close, and Spencer Avenue, the Dean, and Poplar Avenue and Close, and Barnett Way, and Buckley Chichester and Stonecroft Close, and Honeycroft and Broadway Avenue, and Lynch's Crescent, Warren Road, Manus Close to Downcounts Close, Northfield Rise, and Meds Avenue and Downsview, Meds and Pipers Close to Sylvester Way, and Meadow and Hangington Manor Close, and St. Helens Drive and Crescent, and Hartlepool Way and Harmsworth Crescent, and Northeast Gardens and Park Rise and Loch Hill, and Emberley Drive, Sunninghill Avenue, Sunninghill, Storrington, and Thornhill, and Park Close, and Applesham Way, Applesham Way and Ashley's Way, Applesham Avenue and Ashley's Way, and Haback Avenue, Babbage Road, and Mitch's Walk, and Natalie Finnan Close, and the Bramble Reading, Stanning and Clark Avenue, Hetfield Way, and Ponies down and Crescent and Clayton Way, and Fellowfield, Medbrook Crescent, Fellowfield and Tudors Close, and Holmes Avenue, Wintmills, St. Peter's Close, and Coffin Road, Neville Close, and Place and Gardens, and Average and Front Road, and Neville Avenue and Road, and Godwin, Stapley, Morton, Eggman, Rifford Road, and Bellham Crescent, and Noble Place, and Rowan Avenue, Almtroff, Major Road, Kilburn Avenue, Moyne Close, Marshall Way, Wilfrid Avenue, Maple Gardens, Acacia Avenue, and English Close, and Crummer and Wild Avenue, Thomas Close, and Neville Avenue and Road, and Parkview Road, Orchard Road, and Avenue and Gardens, and Goldsey Crescent, and Chalfields, and Neville and Stanning, Neville and Goldsey Way, and Keith Jones, the 6th Avenue Drive, and Woodland Avenue and Drive, and Sunning Crescent and Close, and Queen Mary and Alexandra, and Queen Victoria Avenue, and Queen Carol and Chelsea Windsor, and Woodland Close, and Cupton and Edward Elizabeth Avenue, and Closes, and Cupton and Mill Drive. And Redden and Manor Road, the Morton, and Greyfirst, Custom Road, and the Farmer Close, and Shirley, Lord Rigton, and Lloyd, and Open Road, and Lloyd Close, and Redden Drive, Kelly, Aldrington Road, and the Paddock and Stanford Close, and Huffolk Road, and Way, and Huffolk Road, and Gardens, and Way, and Bishop's Road, and Jove Way, the Drove, and Redden Drive, Kelly, Aldrington Road, and the Paddock and Stanford Close, and Mallory and Onslow Road, Shannon Drive, Shannon Avenue, Wiltraff Avenue, Churchcliffe Road, Tongue Avenue Road, and Yorklands and Dyke Close, and Hebrow and Drive, and down Dean Way, and the Spinney, and Tongue Place, Sheffield Drive, and Ash Close, and Berryfield Drive, and Woodlands, and the Green and Elm, and Tongdean, and Meadow Close, and Porter Road, Student Place, and Avenue, and Coventry, Exeter, and Brighton Street, and Stafford, Chatsworth, Boxton, Lancaster, Hamilton, Upper Hamilton Road, and Highcroft Villas, and Stamford Road, and Wincombe, Regan, and Compton, and Millers Road, and Inwood Crescent, and Robertson, Hampstead, Scarborough, and Kingsley Road, and Woodside Avenue, and Tivoli Crescent, and North, and Malden and Matlock Road, Tivoli Crescent and North, and Tivoli Road and Place, and Malden and Matlock Road, and Withdean Avenue and Road, and Close, and Blacktown Close, and Hazelden, the Beaches, and Dyker Place, and Tongdean Royce, and Tongdean Wayland Avenue and Heights, and Tongue Lane and Rise and Shepherd's Croft, and Daker Drive and Lovers Walk and Granger, Rookery Close and South Road and Mews, and Middle and North Home, Lovers and Camden Road and Drive and Clement Tabberson Road and Station Road, and Withing Miles and Court Avenue, Settlers Gardens, Leos Cart Road and Calvin Place and Absdale Avenue and Towergate, and Edmonton Avenue, South Road and Mewson Avenue and Cleveland Road, Chester Terrace, Woodcroft and Haverlock Road and Beaconsfield, Williston Road and Preston Park and Stanford Avenue and Preston Jove and Lucerne, Assembly, St Andrews, Grantham, Rugby, Florence, Springfield, Belfast, Lowthal, Ruby's Gone Harbour, Dover, Asher, St. Hythe Road and Loader Place, Beacon Hill, Hollenberry Copse and Severn Park, Fire Road and Crescent and Wook and Close, and Harington Road and Villas and Bevan and Noy Road, Comagons, Claflin Close and Valley Road and Driving Gardens and Close and Lane, Walnut, Hurley, Frocroft, Oak Close, and within the Severn and Crescent, Draxton and String Away, Draxton and Somerton, Holt and Madbury and Poplar Close and Withyham Fairley Gardens, and she was for a few towers and pubs, Folly and Hollingdean Lane, Hollingdean and Upper Hollingdean Road and Florence Bridge, Ditching Gardens and Place and Hollingberry and Rodale Road and David Jover and Horton Road and Hollingberry, Tabberson Park Avenue, Crescent Place and Adams Close and Stanba, Williston Park Avenue Street and Hollingdean Tabberson Street and Dudley Hatford and Barnet Road and Quarrybanger and Hamilton Place and Hollingberry Rise and West and Golf Drive and Bussex and Hatton Road and Brentwood Road and Crescent and Close and Shenfield Way and Lynch's Close and Walking Down and the crossroad the link where the Crescent Beer Crescent and the crossroad the link where the Crescent Beer Crescent Stevens Road and Mountfields and Marvin and Rumsey Melrose House and Hinton Wickman Dungeon Major Tinder Close and Southmont Riverley Crescent Thompson Road Liverpool Police Close and Crestman Way Uplands Road and Wolverton Drive and Lemon Road and Close and Edgefield Road and Tavistock down Barry Hill and Close and Village Way Farmer House and Sports Centre on the Centre Road, North South Road, Southern Ring Road, Artsbola Sill, and Library Biology Road, and Refectory Norwich, Lancaster, and Park Village Road, and Sunners Parkfield Road, and shortcut. Otherwise, the camera shuts down by itself. Bear, Riley, U.S. Maffica, Kimberley, Ladysmith, Bannon and Baberdeen, Cooman, Miller, Dewey, Redbuswell, and Espin, and Natal Road, and Southern Carlisle Avenue, Catford Road and Close, and Crayford and Eastbourne Road, and Junction Drive, and Barling Close, and Wellington Road, Manor View, Tentry Road, Fitzhaber Drive, and Martha Gunn Road, Robin Davis, Dennis Hopton, and Martha Gunn Road, Borough King, and Dennis Hopton and Robin Davis Close, and the Avenue Highway and Manton Road, and Hillside and the Crescent and Coburn Road, and Beverly Crescent and Whitcomb Way, and Atcham Maria Beach Grove and Hotchop Road and Lane and Broadfields Road, Westgate, Eastergate Road and Buckham, Newark, Jaley Road and Ringmer Road and Close and Drive, and Greenways, Opening Road and Close, and the Vale of Riders Bar, Cottages and Wood and Walk and Monaghan Railway, Drive and Close, and Martin Long Close and Longer Road, Beacon Hill, Ainsworth Avenue, Ainsworth and Dower Close, and Eel Drive, Allen Crescent, Ely Crescent, Rowan Way, Newman Road, Cold Farm Road, Cotter Close, Meadow Close, Wilkes Close, the Road Centers and Burnsville, and Challenge User Farmer Road, and the Green and High and West Street, Park Road and Crescent, Neville, Stanning Road, Sheepwalk and Newlands Road, and Snowbirds Med, and Chaley and Cranley Avenue, and White Way Lane, and Dean Code, Lusters and Westman and Gorham Road, Basil, Lusters, Wellsmere, and Deancourt Road, and Gorham Avenue, and Close and North Three Rise, and Roy's Close and North Three Rise, and Northgate Close, and Challenge Museum, Victory Terrace, and Webber Lane, Victory Terrace, and Little Grand Crescent, and the Park, and Mummy No Road, and Sutton Park Road, and Amsterdam Ring Close, and Amsterdam Chichester Drive, East and West, and Gladman Avenue, and Little Grand Crescent, and the Park, and Lenham Road, West and East, and Lenham, Ashdown, Westmeston, Chorley, and Farmer Avenue, Lenfield, and Luster's Close, and Luster's Vale, and Crescent, and Bishopson Drive, and Chamberlain Avenue School, and then Takeaway Children, Evan Hawthorne Close, and Humans Wilford Road, Saxon Close, Whitton Avenue, Perry Hill, Richford Avenue, and Salting Vale, Glines Avenue on Mount Choff, and Heathfield Avenue, Arlington Gardens, and Hempstead and Berwick Road and Hill Grove and Vale Road and Edward Hisham Stanmer Avenue, Westwood Avenue, north and south, and Rise and Cooper and Rise, and it was Warncliffe and Greenbanks, Wilkins, Oxford, Beverly, Brightbush, Shepherd, Lynchway, Witham, Nutley, Humberton, Longshire Avenue, Sue's Way, and Plymouth Avenue, Fitzgerald and Dartmouth Crescent, Dordrecht Close, Gilstown, Tokes Close, and Uplower, Beverly Avenue, and Heathhill Avenue, Oakleigh and the Hyde, and Hornby, Towton and Chapman Road, and Taunton Way, Ladder Rise, and Chapman and Durham Close, Norwich and Bowden Avenue, and Kenilworth Close, and Hogshead and Norwich, Brentford and Bowden Close, and Malmo Crescent and Close, and Mill Road at Alfred Avenue, and Valley Drive and Close, and Capstan Avenue, Hillside Way, and Hilltop and the Heights, Wethendove and Hilltop and the Heights, and Glenrise and Close, and Greenridge, and Rattled Drive and Close, and Colebrook, Hillbrow, and Croft Road, and Levi Barn, Rosebank, Sesburn, Highbank, and Copesill, Fanwood Rise, and Bracken Drive, Westside, Deanside, Downside, and the Windmill Drive, and Mill and Ferry Rise and Hill Crest, and McCroft and Westing Drive, and Brangman Drive, Brangman Crescent and Avenue Drive and Way, and the Close, and the Deanway and Tonguin Lane, and Cotton Avenue and Crowhurst Road, Weyburn and Womden Avenue, and Whitfield and Upper Whitfield Avenue, Carroll Close and Patchdene, and Graham and Dale Avenue, and Old Farm Road, Old Mill Close, and Woodland Way, and Old London Road, Woodlands and South, and Ottery Park and Brompton Close, and Grange Way, Patrick Grange Walk, and Ridside Avenue, Old Mill Close, and Overhill Way, and Drive, and Gardens, and Highview Avenue, North and South, and Way and Road, and Womden and Vale Avenue, Churchill Village, the Village Barn, and Ashley and Court Close, and Ladysmire Road and Close, and Braceside, Mackey, Plainfields, and Bahia Creek and Selwys, Hence, Sunny Hills, Heston, Barrow, Wing, and Thorn, and Camelglen, Espring, and Lomond Avenue, and the Deeside East Way Close, and Whitman Avenue, Longfield Way, and Beechwood Avenue Close, and Somerton Close, and Westfield Close, Northfield Road, Eastgate, Crescent, and Limits of Hartfield Avenue, and Cockmere Way, and Cotton Hill, and Furnace and Rutherford Crescent, Kimber Road, Boxes Rise, and Hurst Hill, Furnace, Rutherford, Youngsy, Chelwood Close, and Orchard View, and Bramble Way, and Eldon, the Ditch, and Crescent, and Denton Drive, Bushcroft Crescent, Warner Rose, Rustington Road, and Crabtree and County York Avenue, and Wilmington Way, and Parade, and Close, and Church Close, and Mayfield Greenfield Highfield, and Westwood Crescent, and Mayfield Greenfield Closes, and Dale, Womden Way and Close, and Dale Drive and Crescent, and Sunday Avenue Close, and Sunday Avenue Close, and County Crescent, Connors Gallus Close, and Dawson Drive, Portfield Avenue, Singer Tangma Habits and Wooken Road, and Metis Drive and Petworth Road, and Buttercup and Oberwog, and Wentworth View, and Colding, and Forester and Russia Road, and Close, and Woman Place, and Park Road, and Close, and Ridgeview, Middlesbrough, All in Crest, and Water Ring, Ashburn Drive, and Close, the Bibles, Rounders, Highfield, the Meds, Sanders, and Reeves, and Woozy, Trolley, Hawkers Road, and BT Avenue, Kenwoods, and Salem Drive, and Close, and Russell Road, and Hague Avenue, Woodland Avenue, the Charltons, the Stanley Woodwick Close, and Nansen Road, and Talbot Crescent, and Ingham Drive, and Trafford Road, and Close, and Monk Close, and Badger Way, Chaffin Close, and Franford Creek, Chelsea Close, and Goodwood Way, and Barton Road, Silvertree Drive, Whitfield, Salmon Drive, and Hannibal and Stonecross, and Appledore, Churchgood Road, and Fritzton, and Tonington Close, and Ashurst Road, and Ringmer Road, and Ringmer Drive, and Ashurst Road, and Luke of Ashkin Road, and Close. And that's it.